Have you ever heard about the AARP Community Challenge Grant? Then stay tuned. You don't want to miss this program. I am so excited to have you all here to talk about our Community Challenge Grant, the AARP Community Challenge Grant. People don't even know what that is. They think all we do is sell insurance and talk about health care, but we do so much work in the community, and you all know about that work. So Hannah, let's start with you. Why don't you tell them a little bit about the Community Challenge Grant, how you heard about it, and why you applied for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in the Grand Rapids neighborhood in Michigan, and so we have been able to see a lot of growth in the past few years. The Creston neighborhood specifically, there was a resident who formed a coalition around wellness, and she had applied a few years ago for the benches that are in Creston. And so I watched her go through the process, which was very smooth, and get something put into a neighborhood that we couldn't do. And so then it was, okay, well, can we kind of piggyback off of that and do something more place-oriented with public art, not necessarily structural. So can we continue to broaden what we want to do in Creston with other partners that are like-minded?
And that was the impetus behind applying for the Community Challenge Grant.
Yep.
You know, AARP's Community Challenge Grant has been around for years, and what we do is we ask communities to apply for some type of enhancement in the community, something that will improve the quality of life for those residents there. It could be an alleyway that's painted, it could be something with transportation, or something with benches in a park that would improve, sometimes multi-generational, older adults, but improve that community. Sometimes you need just a little bit of extra money for that. And the exact amount of money that, I think it's close to over, was it $10 million or something that AARP nationally has given out over the years. So it makes a difference.
It does.
It has made a difference. What made you apply for the Community Challenge Grant for AARP?
A friend recommended it to us. They knew that we were doing community development and said that this would be a great opportunity for you guys. So the first time we applied, we did not get it, but I was so happy when I got that email saying that, you know, congratulations, you've been awarded. And what Rhonda and I are doing in East Canfield Village, we are making those on the ground improvements that, you know, the city or larger organizations don't see or maybe don't feel that right now that's an immediate need. But for residents who live in those communities, those enhancements are life-changing.
Absolutely. And I made a mistake. It's $20 million we've given out since we've started our Community Challenge Grant.
That's great.
Over $20 million. And so it makes a difference. You're right. The city council, city planners may not see the alleyways, or may not see the bookstore, or the whatever that project might be. Tell us about the project that you did in Canfield. What's called the Canfield Consortium. Tell us about that.
Canfield Consortium is the name of our organization, and the project is the Canfield Connect, and it's a community greenway. So what we've done, and there's a lot of underserved neighborhoods in Detroit, and that have a lot of unused vacant spaces, vacant lots, and so we took some lots and created the pilot for our community greenway. So it is an area that's going to be able to serve the community, to provide social space, a great community space for people to come and walk and socialize and to beautify the community. It's something that is, you know, really, really needed. You made a good point about sometimes, you know, people in city government don't see, you know, these things as important, but they do have a monumental impact on the quality of life of the people living there. And a lot of our residents, especially our seniors and our children, talk about having spaces to walk and skateboard and do things like that. So we're really excited about the project.
I mean, just listen to that. You took some vacant land that was just sitting there, not being used, and you made it. You brought it to life. You gave it energy, and people are using that land and using that space now through their greenway. I mean, that's huge, and that would not have been possible without some additional support, financial support. But now it's improved the quality of life for people who are there, and it sounds like it's multi-generational as well.
Yes.
I love the name of your project too. I mean, not your project, but the Lions and Rabbits Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
Where did the lions and rabbits come from? Because I see it on the screen.
Yes. No, it's a long story, but the long of the short is each community has very vastly different people, and as soon as lions can lay with rabbits and we can all work together, then we'll have unity.
I like that.
But yeah, everything we try to make community development playful, right? So how can we actually lead with community development and then have economic development after?
I like that. Tell us about your project.
So our project was really fun. A couple years ago, we had painted the game of life on the ground, and we needed to kind of update it. But was it really necessarily impacting the business district as much as we wanted it to? No. So what we did is we changed over the game to the game of Candyland, and there are over like 575 spaces in Creston that you can play the game on the sidewalk. It's a traffic calming mechanism, which is very, very needed in that neighborhood. It's also a place for kids to play, and it's along where those benches are too. So there's a bunch of different routes where you can continue to loop around and play. You can sit, you can visit one of the businesses. It's really just about getting the neighbors out into the district. But then also when you are driving down that district, it's like a rainbow. It's beautiful when you're driving down. Everyone's like, what is this? So even if they don't know that they can play the game, they can still see the beauty of it.
That's very nice. And it's calming, I would imagine, too. Kind of, you said, you know, it helps with the traffic, but it also helps people, give them something to do instead of just...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see kids all of the time walking with people, and they are just playing hopscotch essentially at this point. And a lot of times there's conversations about partnerships with us with like disability advocates. Is this actually safe? Or if somebody has vision impairment, is this an easy way for them to navigate? And so part of the work that we're doing is to bring all those partners together to find what is the answer and how can we continue to serve all people in the community.
Nice, very nice. You know, people are listening to you talk about your projects. They don't realize how competitive this process was or is.
Yes.
Michigan was actually heralded for having more applicants than most other states throughout the country. Wow. There were four states, and Michigan was one of the four who had just a record number of applicants who applied for these community challenge grants. I used to work at a community college. Community challenge grants. Yeah. And so for you to be able to be selected speaks volumes about your project. And it also speaks volumes about AARP, because when we first started this years and years and years ago, people weren't familiar with it. And now we're one of the top states who receives applicants. And that's not a discouragement for people. Keep, like you said, apply twice, right? Sometimes you apply again and it makes a difference. How did you get the community involved in your projects? What was the process? How did you decide Candyland? How did you decide, you know, the green space? What was the process for doing that?
Candyland was definitely based on multi-generational use. We have those benches there, which is a perfect space for people to rest, right? But then there's also kids running down a very fast street all of the time. And so it's really about, is it for the driver? Is it for the kids? Is it for the community? But also it's bringing other communities in to see what are some other traffic calming mechanisms that they can use. What is play? In third space, right? You're talking about parking lots, I'm talking about a sidewalk. So really it's helped us lead to what our new programs are and how you can do sidewalk level interventions that can end up actually changing a community.
Nice, very nice. How did you get the community involved?
Well, like the basis for our work is community engagement. When we started Canfield Consortium about 10 years ago, we really, you know, we were part of the community. We sat down with community members, had meetings, and like, what do you guys want to see? Overwhelmingly, the response was, we really want these land parcels that are vacant to be activated, to be beautified, because they're draining our community. So, you know, we really thought, like, what are some things that we could do? You know, there are, you know, vegetable gardens and flower gardens. We actually have 2 flower gardens. We wanted to do something that could bring people together. So we worked and, you know, with a couple of other organizations, and we, you know, got a plan for tying or uniting these vacant lots together to make a path. And so, yeah, it was like the community really came up with just really do something that can repurpose this and, you know, make this a beautiful community. And I think once we came up with a trailway, because we do walk, but there are a lot of times when people don't want to walk to the next, you know, corner, so they'll cut through a vacant lot. And it's like, we can make this a lot more useful and a lot, you know, more pretty, you know, for the community. So that's where the idea came from.
They probably cut through more now than they ever did before, right? So when you talk about the gardens and the flower beds, who takes care of those?
So that has been an ongoing process. When we started the first one, I'm going to try to make a long story short. It was all community based because we had the one garden, and we had a lot of people from the neighborhood excited about it. So much so they were like, "Oh, let's do another one." So we did another one, which was a lot larger. The first one was 2 parcels. The second one is 4 parcels, and so we have. We got volunteer groups to work with the community. Then COVID came, and a lot of the companies suspended their, volunteer
Activities for
right.
Yeah.
And so, but after COVID, it was just some of them suspended them and didn't return them. And so then we had someone working to as kind of like a groundskeeper to help maintain them. And but it is like a community effort though to maintain them, because as you know, flower gardens require a lot of work,
Yes.
maintenance in the spring,
Yes.
during the summer, and then in the fall when things are starting to go dormant, the pruning and the cleaning. So, but it is, like I said, it's a community effort.
And they take pride in it. They
Yes.
take a lot of pride in it too.
Yes.
And it's their community, so there's some ownership there as well. How did you all get started in this work? I mean, you make it sound easy. You're all just smiling. You're happy, but this is hard work.
Yeah,
it is
it's
hard
very-
work, and it's not even the work; it's the dedication to the work that you don't always see. So how did you get started?
Well, we're doing our work primarily in the neighborhood that we grew up in. So when we were young girls, this was a very
Nice.
vibrant neighborhood filled with families and small businesses. I moved to New York for college, and I stayed there afterwards. And our parents passed away pretty close to each other. And Rhonda and I were, trying to figure out what to do with the family home, and we were spending more time in the neighborhood. And we saw the decline in the condition, and that really prompted us to do something to honor our parents' memories, because our parents moved from Tennessee. At that time, Black people were not allowed to be property owners.
Right.
So they came here, so they can buy a home for their family. And so we didn't want that legacy to slip away. So we were like, let's, see what we can do on a grassroots level, just, us in the community. So that's how our work in community development started. That's kind of a love letter to our parents.
Wow.
in
And I
our
wanted to
childhood.
jump in real quick here too, because and one of the things that we saw when we were doing our community engagement is the majority of homeowners that stayed in the community after its decline were in the same situation as us, that live in homes that were passed down from great-grandparents, grandparents, and parents, that they honored that legacy. So
nice.
we were honoring our parents, and so it became something bigger where we're honoring, the community is honoring all of our, family.
How do you raise money?
a lot of grant writing. I think over 90% of our funding comes from grants. So we're always on the hunt for, grants. Does this fit into our storytelling or the work that we do? So yeah, it's almost like 24/7. But again, when you get those emails, like I said, congratulations, it just means the world. It's like we can do more work because we're always planning. We're just looking for the funding.
And it's the pride of the community and the home ownership too. When you weren't able to buy or own a home, and you heard those stories,
Yeah.
and then you have a home, there's a certain amount of pride in keeping that, hanging on to it. So, congratulations and kudos to you all for what you do. How did you get involved in this work?
I went to school for education, and I had a baby when I was very young and realized there are many barriers, and not only being a teacher, but raising kids and being a teacher. So I ended up really kind of just immersing myself into public art and then doing teaching on the side and working another job. And when it came to be, it was the city of Grand Rapids has so many great things to offer. So does the surrounding region. We've got the lakeshore, everything over there. But there's nobody really harnessing what is creativity and who are the creatives there. And so it was like barrier after barrier. Why can I do this mural, but this person can't? Why can this community have painted crosswalks, but this one can't? Is it actually a bigger deal that we should be communicating about regionally? And I kind of just propelled into organizing more than just doing art on my own. But really through that process, it taught me how many inequities there are and how much work there is to be done with even citizenship and getting people ready and meeting them where they're at so that they can make work for their community. Like you said, It's the community coming back together, and if we can empower the community and just teach them how to do paint a sidewalk and get to yes, right? Then what will that community be able to do?
So you all have a heart for this work, which is what it takes, really. It's not just the skill set and the passion, but it's just the heart for making certain that you leave it a better place.
Yeah.
You talked about art, and people undervalue the importance, how important art is in all of our lives.
Yes.
And it's everywhere, whether it's schools, breaks my heart that they took it out of the schools, et cetera. Talk a little bit about art and what that can do in terms of mental wellness, in terms of health, in terms of young people, expression, therapy.
Yeah, I will do a shameless plug to Americans for the Arts. They have a wheel on their website that talks about transportation in the arts, healthcare in the arts, parenting in the arts, anything in the arts, and how what the actual raw data for the development of the world is through it. But a lot of times people are talking about, we're ending hunger, homelessness, all of these really, really, really important issues. But when we do get community wellness, what's left? And that's where art is. Art is made there, but it's also made in sadness. So if we can bring together, once again, both worlds, art for happiness and art for healing, then you'll have a healed community. It is also one of the first things to be cut. Music is second to be cut. Is it an art? Absolutely, right? And so liberal arts, how can we really, really broaden what that means and actually get the cross-sector investment into things? We talked about grant writing is a huge thing. For us, it's sponsorships. It's getting people to say, yes, I'm buying into the mission. I'm buying into educating youth on all of these different things. I'm buying into paying creatives to beautify their city. And really that sales for us is a concrete showing for us that we can say, businesses support this, companies know how much creativity empowers their workers to do better work. And really it's just, how can we bring art back around to get the answer to yes?
I'm sitting here listening to you all and so proud that ARP has funded, I think, 40 different projects since the inception of the Challenge Grant, the Challenge Grants. But people don't even know how to apply for one. How did you learn how to even apply for AARP community? You don't think about beautifying your neighborhood. I'm going to apply for a grant at AARP. You don't think about that. So how did you even learn about doing that? How to do that?
I learned definitely from our neighborhood association, one of the local neighborhood associations. They and a wellness coalition. They've been partnering with different groups for quite some time for an arts organization to get it. I'm still just as shocked. And people are AARP. I'm like, yeah, they believe in it. So that's my whole point, right? So I think mission alignment is a huge portion.
Like for me, because we do apply for grants when someone recommended. I just went on AARP's website and I looked under, I think it might have been community, and I saw that, I read it, and I was like, this really aligns with the work that we're doing. Like it was one of the easier grants to apply for because everything was really, laid out. So that's how I learned. Once someone verbally recommended it to me, I went on AARP's website and clicked on and found more information and started writing the grant.
Were you surprised to find out that AARP was doing this?
Yes.
3 for 3.
3 for 3, exactly. 3 for 3. So if you were to encourage someone else, first I want to talk, we've got about a minute and a half left, sustainability, okay? So you can start these projects, but they upkeep, maintenance, et cetera. Who wants to talk about how you're going to continue this project and sustain it?
We work on purpose for this reason in and of itself. How do you get a city to want to do these projects? You have to sustain them. And so part of our fundraising initiatives for these are to find community groups that want to come and repaint, would like to maintain it, as well as just residents that we can give them the opportunity to have a contract job in their neighborhood. Really, it is about the partnerships and making sure that the materials you're using and how you go about the full program is together before you start.
Yeah, and for us, it's number one, making sure you have community buy-in, and that, like you said, they feel ownership and pride of it, because that's a key, because we all, are stewards of it. And then also, partnerships, with other organizations, and now we've, garnered because the city is starting to take notice of the various projects we've done, and so now they're starting to partner, like for because our community greenway crosses various alleys in the neighborhood. So they come through and clean up the alleys for us and things like that. So those are I think the partnerships, the community buy-in are really important in making sure that you can sustain your projects.
I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for applying, and thank you for being on AARP Real Possibilities.
Well, thank you.
you for
We're
having us.
definitely grateful to be here and have been awarded.
Thank you. We hear talk about estate planning all the time. David, thanks for being here today. What is an estate plan and what's in it?
Well, Paula, everybody thinks of an estate plan as a trust and a will, healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, certificate of trust, assignment documents, blah, 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 a whole list of documents. An estate plan is really a state of mind. An estate plan is not just the documents, it's an ongoing, living thing. I can't tell you how many estate plans I get, which have obviously spent the last 30 years in the basement because you can, it smells a little moldy. So an active engagement in your future is what an estate plan really is. I know, look, lawyers fail on this routinely. You get your documents. We have an ongoing program. We think it's important to maintain that ongoing involvement, and it should focus on you first. This is that elder law thing we talk about sometimes. If your estate plan is all about after you're dead, it's not a plan, because chances are you'll die broke anyway. If you plan for yourself, then there will be leftovers to get to the next generation. And how it gets to the next generation, again, often neglected, super important.
And just like you were saying when we were off camera, when you're on the airplane, you put on the oxygen mask, take care of yourself first. In your car, you put on the seat belt, same thing.
Sounds kind of selfish, doesn't it? Oh, I got to take care of myself. Yeah, but you're no good to anybody else unless you do that.
And that's what people need to make certain that they pay attention to. Take care of yourself. Thank
Exactly.
you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Paul.
it. Pain. We all experience pain. And Dr. June is here today to tell us, if you have pain in your joints, what should we do?
That's a good question. We came from a time and era where physicians as a whole kind of went from, you're just going to deal with it, to anyone should be in no pain at any time, zero pain. And they kind of went to this pendulous thing where people were being given like narcotics and high doses of painkillers, and it got a lot of people into trouble, and then kind of dialed it back. Nobody gets them now, and we're trying to find an identity of what is it that we do, which is the correct steps for people's pain, because nobody wants to suffer needlessly. Right. Now, there's a lot of modalities for dealing with pain, and I mean wide modalities, anywhere from Tylenol that works for some people, not most, the NSAIDs like ibuprofen, Mobic, things like that, Celebrex, naproxen, and those carry risks with them too. They do work for inflammation and pain to a degree, but they also have long-term side effects, which your doctor would talk to you about. And then there's alternative painkillers such as antidepressant pills, which take pain out of your body for ways we don't even know. There's topical NSAID creams you can put on. There's natural occurring remedies that are out there that a lot of people use, like fish oil, cherry juice concentrate, something called Devil's Claw, which has been used successfully for some people's pain. So there's neuropathic painkillers like gabapentin. There's a product called pregabalin or Lyrica that's used quite a bit as well. So there is a lot of medications, depending on the person and the nature of their pain, that they can use for helping get rid of it. For me in our office, we like injections to help reduce specific joint pains. And sometimes that can last months to years. Sometimes it's ineffective for the patient. So you just start by talking to your primary care, and they get sent to a rheumatologist or a sports med doctor or physical medicine rehab doctor, and they can approach your pain as best they can.
If you have pain, you're not going to get a chance to see your doctor right away. What's the safest thing to do? Fish oil, or what's the safest thing to
for
do?
day-to-day, long-term maintenance, it's like fish oil and cherry juice concentrate. But for acute pain, depending on the situation, is go to an urgent care, or sometimes even an ER if it's disastrous amount of pain. So someone that can get you in right now and address this.
hopefully you're not in pain, but if you are, that's good information. Thank you, Dr. June. Transportation. When we think of transportation, we automatically think of CATA. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
What's the best mode of transportation someone should think about for a loved one?
Sure. So CATA has two types of transportation services. Fixed route are those 40 and 60-foot long buses that you see on the street, and those are scheduled to serve designated bus stops and transportation hubs throughout the system. Most people don't know we also have paratransit services that are curb-to-curb demand response services, but we also have SpecTran, which is for individuals who are certified by a physician with a disability.
So that's actually three different types of transportation. The general transportation that you get, that just the regular bus, the big 40, what did you say, 40?
40 and 60-foot.
60-foot
Yep.
bus, and then the curb-to-curb, and then SpecTran. How do you know which one's best for a loved one?
Really, it depends on what your need is. If you have mobility, the ability to move around and look at schedules and figure that out, the regular fixed route services are the best, and they are the most affordable. If you have a disability that makes mobility a little bit more challenging for you, SpecTran is also a good service for those individuals.
And how much in advance do you need to call to schedule?
You can schedule it as much as 2 weeks in advance, but it is a one-day advance notice.
Well, that's great information that everybody should know. So if they have some questions, they can just go to the CATA website and look this up and
That's
find
right.
out what transportation mode is best for them.
That's correct.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Lola. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Paula.
We hear a lot about direct care workers. Let's learn a little bit about how to enter that profession and what career paths are available once you do enter it. And to talk about that today, we have with us Bethany. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell us about what you do. You actually train direct care workers.
I do. My name's Bethany Dizer. I'm the Assistant Director of the Impart Alliance. I'm a nurse and a nurse practitioner by trade. And the thing that I get to do the most at work is train direct care workers to provide excellent care, to learn about the people that they serve, and to build a career in this really exciting and interesting field.
So when you talk about building a career, what are some of the steps? You enter as a direct care worker and you're trained, you need to be trained in that area as well, but then there are other career ladders.
Absolutely. We like to think about a career lattice and a career ladder. Coming into the direct care field, anyone with the enthusiasm, the interest, and the go get them to get into this field is welcome. We want to help people train to learn the skills that they need to be able to provide excellent care, as well as the knowledge that they need to understand the people that they work with and the complex healthcare system they work within. And then within that field, we love to see people advance to be leaders among their colleagues in direct care work, as well as a lot of people go on to be in other fields in healthcare after working as direct care workers.
And is there an age limit on that? Is that for anybody?
I like to think it's for anybody and it's for everybody. We train people over the age of 16 or 17 who want to get into the field and start their careers, and no age limit for sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for what you do, and thanks for being with us today, Bethany. You may think you know AARP, but unless you watch AARP Real Possibilities, you really don't know ARP. Thanks for watching.